very long TBR every single year, honestly, because I am a slow reader, actually, and I have a very difficult time reading books, especially with my job. I'm a fashion designer and a content creator, so I have a lot on my plate already, setting up my own business right now, and sometimes it makes it really difficult to read books. However, I want to try and share with you guys my TBR. I don't know if it's honestly gonna work, if this is gonna get me to read, if because I'm holding myself accountable, but these are all the books that I currently want to read in my lineup, and I want to prioritize because I have a lot of books on my bookshelf that I haven't really read yet. I'm putting myself on a physical book ban before, to give myself time to finish everything. So without further ado, let's talk about all the books I want to read this quarter, or at least within the next 6 months. So I have a bunch of books already, but let's start first with my Kindle, because I bought this Kindle for myself way back when, because I realized it's also efficient to have a Kindle in case I can't carry a book on travels or during events, or if I just want to have something, fun to read on the side. I have two books right now that I'm trying to read on there. One is an adaptation of actually The Other Bennet Sister. If you don't know, The Other Bennet Sister has actually been adapted by the BBC network lately, and I watched the show before I read the book, so I fell in love with it, and I decided I really wanted to read the book. So I downloaded the EPUB and then also started to read it. I think 16% of the way in, and it's pretty much the same as the show. Nothing really to write home about yet, but I'm liking the little differences that I'm finding, because it explains a lot of the missing context that the show needs in order to really understand why people are the way they are in this entire story. Overall, I really can't wait to finish it, and that's currently my read of the moment. The other current read I have, or am planning to finish, is also this medieval inspired book called The Second Death of Locke. I have not yet really understood what this book is about. I just know it's about the relationship between a mage and their well. It's like part of the lore, their well. I could totally be misremembering this, but the whole point is that I'm walking into it blind, and I'm trusting the process, because usually I am someone who likes to spoil myself in terms of books and in terms of pretty much everything else. I like to spoil myself rotten, but for the first time ever, I'm walking into a book completely blind. I'm not researching anything about it. I'm just gonna read it and see if I like it, because I heard it's rather popular, especially on Book Talk. So I'm gonna be giving that a try. Let me know if you guys like that book too, or if I should stop reading it and save myself the trouble. I got my hojicha here today. Hojicha with a splash of Earl Grey tea. I have been very, very into Earl Grey lately. I've been baking cakes and everything. So what I like to do is I like to put it in my hojicha. I like brew a cup of Earl Grey and then splash the hojicha in with a bit of my collagen, and it's so delicious. It makes it like really tangy for some reason. I really like that. So I have a lot of books lately, and the one at the most bottom is my most recent impulse purchase. So yeah, I have not been following my physical book ban, because this one was a dream purchase of mine, but we'll get to that later. This is not in a particular order, so I'm going to be reading it as it comes to me. So I don't want to like force myself to read it in succession. The first book in my lineup physically is Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre. I've heard about this ever since I watched an episode of Phineas and Ferb. If I'm not mistaken, there was like an adaptation or something, and Phineas's dad was like fangirling over it. And I thought, okay, that's a book apparently. And I bought this for 180 pesos only on sale. I actually bought this on sale for only 180 pesos, which is absolutely insane. I got so lucky. Apparently it is one of the most popular classic literature, especially in Europe. And it's all about a love affair. Apparently, I'm literally learning about what Jane Eyre is like right here, right now, because sometimes I buy it because people recommend it to me, and this is one of them. This is like one of those situations where everyone's like, you should read Jane Eyre, and I'm like, why though? And they're like, it's good, and I didn't offer any more explanation. I just ran with it. But apparently, it's like kind of similar to. No, it's not. So Jane Eyre is like about this lady named Jane who escapes from her position as a governess and kind of has a love affair with someone, and also like there's like some drama. It's basically a love story, and I'm excited to try it. I've never really read the Bronte sisters' works yet to my memory, so I'm really excited to try this one and see where it takes me. I have been really into etiquette books lately. I've been reading like this one book by that TikToker who loves to give advice on how to eat bananas and grapes with a fork and knife. I really like it because I find it really hilarious. It's actually an EPUB. I've been reading it sparingly, but one book I really want to finish is this book about How to Be Lovely by Melissa Helstern. It's based around Audrey Hepburn's habit. It's basically all about Audrey Hepburn's way of life, her joie de vie, and like how she spends life so happy, and like how to curate your aura in a more elegant manner. And I feel like I need that because online I'm already rather composed, but in person I can be a bit, excited, and I want to be able to have a switch for that. So when the time is right, I can pull it out. When the time is also right, I can also be demure and learn to be more polite and quiet, because I feel like I need that for myself. Overall, it's just because I want to learn more about Audrey Hepburn and her ways of thinking. It's also very interesting because I'm a huge fan of Audrey Hepburn, and yeah. Okay, this book was a gift from, I think, my tita. It's called Lady Chatterley's Lover, and it's set in the 1920s. Surprisingly, I didn't know it was actually set in the 1920s. So when I read it, I was like surprised, like, oh, it is set in the 1920s. So I got lucky again. I keep buying books set in the 20s for some reason, so I'm excited to read this one. It's all about a lady and her way of exploring love and passion, and all the ways that a woman explores that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and her affairs, because she had to deal with a lot of stuff, and it celebrates passion and life in general. So I can't wait to read this. I have no idea. Another blind read, so this whole TBR is going to be mainly blind reads, I think. The next book is actually another book set in the 1920s. It's another Scott Fitzgerald. This one is The Beautiful and the Damned. It's like one of his other popular works aside from The Great Gatsby. And I'm going to be trying this as well because, I don't know, like I have a growing collection of his books. And I've always wanted to try this one, so I've been adding. I have a lot of these specific editions of his writing, and I've been wanting to like go buy them one by one. So yearly I have at least one book from that pile that I read, and I guess this year it will be this one. I love this specific edition because it looks like those 1920s artistic plates that they would put out as posters. I really like that. It's about an heir that was led astray from the path set towards him, and it's all about the dangerous side of a life of glamour and debauchery. So like I want to see what that's like, and another blind read, I guess. Full of blind reads today. Okay, for these last two, these two are kind of coffee table books, so I don't really want to read them like cover to cover because there's a lot to cover in it. And this one in particular is The Costume History. I think I mentioned this before in another vlog. It's one of my favorites of the month because it has a coverage of almost every single European and a bit of Asian costuming, or rather cultural wear. I really want to study this because I'm very interested in fashion history and fashion culture. So that's something I want to peruse and kind of study one by one. And I'm going to start maybe with the French medieval section because I am not so knowledgeable on French European medieval history, because sometimes I get it confused and I want to know, what exactly it is. So I find this to be a good way to study history without being overwhelmed with so many online links or sources, because sometimes when you research there's so many options, and I kind of wanted to limit it to just like this and then see where it goes from there. Yeah, pretty. I really like the cover as well. It's so beautiful. Again, full of fashion plates. I really like that. I'm going to be taking a lot of pictures of this one. It's very beautiful. Now, this last book is actually a dream purchase of mine. So ever since I was, I think, 17, like years ago, like almost 10 years ago, I think younger than 17, I have been wanting to buy this specific Dior collection book ever since it hit the shelves in Fully Booked. Shout out Fully Booked. I am such a huge fan of Dior. It used to be Chanel, but at some point I realized Chanel was hella problematic, and I switched over to Dior like a true defector. And I fell in love with everything to do with Christian Dior's works, especially the Dior and Saint Laurent era, and also the John Galliano era. We hate him, but wow, he can design. So yeah, and I've seen this book on shelves for the longest time, and every single time I saw it, I would think to myself, this is the time I will start saving, and next time I see it, I'm going to purchase it. And I never ever remember to purchase it. But the other day, I was out with my boyfriend at Fully Booked, and I saw it, and then I was thinking, maybe I'll purchase it next time. I'll come back for it again. And here it was again, like this promise that I'm going to break. And then my boyfriend goes, why not just buy it? Like, you've saved enough money for it. You have the money for it, and you've been wanting this for almost a decade, so like go for it. And I was thinking, okay, you know what, fine, I am an adult with adult money, so yeah, I will buy it. I will in fact buy it. So I paid 4,000 pesos for this, which was so worth it because imagine waiting 10 years just to buy a book, and this is what you get. It's so amazing. It feels like a dream come true, honestly. Like I earned my own money for the first time, like in a long while. Like I was able to treat myself to something so small and yet so big to me. So the book itself is actually a collection of every single collection that Dior, the brand, has put out ever since its incarnation and up until 2017. So that's the most updated version right now that's out. But it's fine because Marie Gratte-Curie isn't exactly my favorite. It also covers a bit of the collection history and context for every collection, which I actually liked a lot about this book, because a lot of the times when you search it up on Pinterest, you never get the context for why these works were made. You never get the true understanding of why certain designs were designed. And in this particular book, it kind of explains that for you. So it kind of gives you an overview for every single year, haute couture or RTW, whatever they put out. It explains their best works and why it was made. I think Dior is one of my top designers because he's so timeless. I mean, the brand itself is timeless. I'm a huge fan of couture houses, especially when the right director is in that house at the moment. And Dior is having a moment right now with the whole spring collection that I've absolutely fell in love with. So there's a lot to love about this book. For the most part, it's all archival photographs. So they even have different collections that we might not have seen yet or might not have been published to the general internet space. So stuff that you might miss when you're not scrolling so deep on Pinterest. That's why I wanted this book, and I'm so happy I got it, because now I get to really see like all the different kinds of designs that I might have missed while scrolling online, and I get to kind of focus in on them and really try to understand like all the different stories that these designers were trying to tell, living and dead. And obviously I get to peruse my favorite collections. My favorite in particular is actually rather Pinterest popular. It is the 1998 collection made by John Galliano. Like, look at this. This is insane. One of my favorite collections of all time, just because it's so theatrical and beautiful and wild and weird, and it's so amazing. This one I think was inspired by 1920s glamour and fashion, because you can see a lot of the references are from the 20s and the 1910s. So lots of reference to masquerades and promenading, which I really love. So it's inspired by a particular muse who is an eccentric heiress and also arts patron. Her name is Marchesa Luisa Casati, who is a great Italian lady from the beginning of the century. It's amazing how such little things fly under a radar, because we don't actually know the complete context of a collection. As a designer, this means a lot to me that it was actually noted and collected and displayed in public in this book for everyone to know that this is the context of their collection, because not every day do we get a chance to really understand what it means to create a collection. So, maybe if you're an aspiring designer, these kinds of books will, direct you to how to kind of find your own concepts and see what inspires you as well here, find what aligns with you. And I feel like if you're a super fan of the archival works of a designer or any design house, especially the couture houses, you should definitely look at these, like Dior, or look at the Yves Saint Laurent or the Prada one or Chanel or whatever, because it will really give you a look into all the different ways fashion designers get inspired and how it gets executed. So you can kind of try to put two and two together, point A to point D, to see what gets done and what gets left out in the story. And obviously it also makes a really good reference book, when you're trying to find general inspiration for runway collections or even just concepts. Like those are the kinds of things that we need now, because we're so saturated online. So to have books that reference these, I know they're just coffee table books, but now they mean so much more to me now that the internet is so oversaturated with fashion and with news. I think having these kinds of books will sort of center you a little bit more, kind of give you a bit more focus when it comes to creating, so that you can create really quality stuff in the future. But yeah, those were all my books in my TBR so far. If you guys have any recommendations, you can let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, you can subscribe and comment down below, hit that bell, ring the bell, do whatever you need to do, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!